Before you take anyone's word on immigration policy, watch this moment. Because what happens when Blumenthal presses Noem isn't just disagreement, it's a full collision between two different versions of recent history.
Senator Blumenthal, you're going to finish this up.
Thank you, Chairman Paul. I'm the last of your questioners, so that means I get unlimited amounts of time.
Okay.
Not really. Not even close. I want to sort of continue the emphasis on bipartisanship and most especially on immigration reform. What this nation needs is comprehensive immigration reform. We know about the need for more H-1B visas and other kinds of extensions of the visa program that enable the United States to have more workers that are desperately needed in certain areas of our country. We know that there has to be better border security generally. We know we need to provide some kind of path to earn citizenship for a lot of the undocumented people in this country. And we know it's possible because we did it in 2013. The United States Senate, as you will recall, passed a comprehensive immigration reform measure. Overwhelmingly, it was bipartisan. I was proud to be a part of it going through the Judiciary Committee, but obviously it will involve Homeland Security. And I hope that we can continue, as Senator Langford was a part of the effort in the last session, to expand on those efforts and move forward on a bipartisan basis toward bipartisan, comprehensive immigration reform. I want to talk to you a little bit about domestic terrorism, which we discussed during my previous round, and I know you've discussed it afterward, including not just migrant crime and radicalization by ISIS, which are real and present problems. I also want to ask you about domestic terrorism events unrelated to groups outside our borders. We've seen a rise in anti-Semitism in this country. It has spiked beyond any prediction. And I want to know of your concern with anti-Semitist, racist events, Charlottesville, Buffalo, Pittsburgh. There's a shorthand for these violent terrorist acts against people in the United States.
Yes, Senator, I'm very concerned about what we've seen in this country as far as anti-Semitic violence that has happened. In fact, last year during our legislative session, I brought legislation to more clearly define it so that we could fight it in our home state. And I'm hopeful I can work with you to continue to do what we can to make sure that we are addressing this rising threat and not facilitating it in this country.
And I just want to make sure that when you say we're protecting Americans against terrorism, that we're protecting all Americans, including people in mosques, in churches, in synagogues, people regardless of their worship, their race, their background. We need to protect all Americans from anti-Semitism, racism, Islamophobia. I hope you'll commit to that effort.
Yes, correct. Thank you, Senator, and I look forward to working with you to do that.
In my closing minute and a half, I just want to call your attention to an effort that I've led to help reunite children with their parents, children who were separated as a result of the so-called family separation policy in the last administration. I have introduced a measure called Keep Families Together, not only to limit separation of families at or near ports of entry, but also the Families Belong Together Act for several Congresses to help bring the children, the kids who were victims of this policy and who still are not back with their parents. I hope that you will support that kind of effort.
Senator, the Trump administration never had a family separation policy. They had a zero tolerance policy, which said that our laws would be followed. What I'm alarmed by is the over 300,000 children that went missing during the Biden administration. And when we talk about children and what they're potentially facing as far as victimization in this country and the trafficking that's going on, this administration's lack of desire to find out where those children are or what they may be going through is alarming to me. So I want to stop that.
Because my time is expiring, I'm just going to interrupt again with apologies to say, let's put aside.
Well, I can't put aside 340,000 children.
Labels. Let's put aside what happened in the past. There are still 1,000 children who are separated and waiting to be reunited. I'd like your commitment that you're going to continue the effort to reunite them with their parents.
Senator, keeping families together is critically important to me and to this country. I'm concerned about Laken Riley's family, that they no longer have her. I'm concerned about the fact that we have people in this country that don't know where their children are, or people in other countries who sent their children here and they've been lost by this administration. So yes, my focus will be to keep families together. We will uphold our law and we'll make sure that we're doing everything we can to keep our children safe from the trafficking and the drug epidemic that's hit this country.
I'm going to end on an optimistic note and say I take that as a yes.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
Thank you for.
What you just watched wasn't just a routine Senate exchange. It was a crash course in how political narratives collide when immigration, accountability, and memory of past administrations come to the surface. And the moment Senator Richard Blumenthal pressed Kristi Noem on family separation, you saw the conversation shift from policy into the realm of historical contest. This is where things get complicated, and where viewers deserve clarity instead of slogans. Blumenthal is working from the widely reported understanding that the Trump administration's zero-tolerance approach resulted in thousands of children being separated from their parents. That's part of the public memory. It's baked into years of reporting, congressional hearings, inspector general investigations, and emotional testimonials. So when he asks about reuniting children, he's operating from that framework, that something happened and the government has a responsibility to help fix it. But then Noem does something that's become a hallmark of today's Republican messaging. She reframes the entire premise. She says, point blank, the Trump administration never had a family separation policy. And in one sentence, she shifts from discussing reunification to pushing a counter-narrative that the real crisis isn't what happened under Trump, but what has happened under Biden. She pivots the focus to the 300,000 children missing, a claim that has been circulating in conservative media ecosystems, referring to minors released to sponsors that the government later struggled to contact. These are two fundamentally different frameworks clashing in real time. This is the part most viewers miss. Blumenthal and Noem are not disagreeing on facts alone. They're disagreeing on definitions. What counts as a policy? What counts as intent? What counts as responsibility? Trump didn't write a memo stating separate families, but the zero-tolerance directive functionally produced widespread separations. So one side argues it happened, therefore it is policy. The other argues, unless it was written as a formal directive, it wasn't policy. That tension is the engine of this entire exchange. Then the conversation expands into something deeper. Blumenthal tries to create a moment of shared values. He talks about anti-Semitism, violent extremism, Charlottesville, Buffalo, Pittsburgh, all shorthand for domestic terror rooted in bigotry. He's trying to pull Noem into a bipartisan, universalist framework, protect all Americans from every form of hate, no matter the source. Noem agrees verbally, but again, she does what she did earlier. Instead of fully entering Blumenthal's framing, she redirects to issues she wants to center: state-level legislation, home state examples, trafficking concerns. She acknowledges the rise of anti-Semitism, but she doesn't stay in the lane Blumenthal laid out. She shifts the terrain to something more ideologically comfortable. And when Blumenthal tries one last time to secure her commitment to reunification, not for political blame, but for the 1,000 children still separated, she gives an answer that sounds like a yes, but only through a different lens. She says she's committed to keeping families together, but then immediately folds in new examples: fentanyl, trafficking, missing children under another administration. It's less a direct answer, more a narrative repositioning. This is what viewers must understand. Political language is never just about what is said, it's about what is avoided, reframed, or substituted. This exchange wasn't simply Noem correcting Blumenthal or Blumenthal challenging Noem. It was two different political universes trying to occupy the same space while refusing to speak the same language. One universe emphasizes systems, responsibility, and correcting past harm. The other emphasizes enforcement, legality, and redirecting blame toward present dangers. That's why this moment matters. It's not just about who's right or wrong, it's about which narrative the public will walk away remembering. And as always, that's why independent commentary matters. Because somewhere between these competing storylines is the truth the public deserves to understand. If you value commentary that goes deeper, that cuts through political framing, and that helps you see what's really happening in these exchanges, make sure you subscribe to Left Lens, like this video, and share it so more people can get the context mainstream coverage rarely provides.